First, I want to thank Dr. Kennedy for allowing the BTA Executive Board to present. After Paul presented at last week, we thought it was important that we piggyback a little bit from what Paul said. We did a presentation about 8 months ago to the board, and it was relatively similar to what Paul did. And I'm referring to the Assistant Superintendent, Deputy Superintendent of the county, Paul Jessup, and we, as an association, we use his documents a lot, and we wanted to share some of that information with you and go from there. So we as a board, we as a bargaining unit member, and the cabinet are all on the same page on some of the things that we're talking about and some things that we're doing. Starting, what we talked about is we're going to make sure that this is going to be an open, respectful, professional dialogue. We're going to talk about our philosophy, and this is where we're going to talk about the past budget data dealing and versus what the counties gave us last week. And then we're going to talk about BTA solutions on how to handle the budget. We thought this meeting would be the best because this is what this meeting is all about, what this study session is all about, is about the budget versus interim report. And then we want to talk about the success of students and teachers with their API, a few of the member issues that we want to bring to the table so that everything's out in the open, and then on the ways on how to move forward and on how we could collectively come together and unite in this very difficult time. So that's really what the presentation is going to deal with. Our philosophy is that we're going to bargain in good faith, and we believe that the district must cut all unnecessary programs and positions prior to expecting teachers to make any cuts. And we presented this, like I said, 8 months ago, and some of these are relevant and some of these aren't. We've modified it and went from there. This is what we presented 8 months ago, and as you will see, is that in 08-09 we had revenues and expenditures that exceeded. And then we started deficit spending in 9, 10, 10, 11, and 11 and 12. You will see that the expenditures surpasses how much money we're taking in. And we presented that, we've talked about that, and we have in this district, we have been deficit spending currently, sorry. And this is what Paul gave us to let us understand that in 08-09, part of this was the federal dollars that came in, but you will see that we've been deficit spending. The red line at the school board meeting talked about the revenues coming in, and the green line talks about, sorry, let's reverse that. The red line talks about expenditures, and the green line talks about the revenues. And you will see that our expenditures in the last 3 years, what we've been doing is deficit spend. And that's what Paul talked about specifically, was the deficit spending at this district. And we have continued for the last 3 years to deficit spend year after year after year. And eventually, that's going to catch up to us. Eventually, that's going to cause us problems. So we, as a group, are going to have to come together and fix that issue. Another slide that we talked about was the ending balance. We made it a little simpler, and we talked about just the savings account. And really what that is the banning savings account. Alex, come on in.
Can we pause and at this point?
Absolutely. I'm going to stop a little bit and let Alex get situated.
He needs to get a picture real quick so the photos people can be on the way. So
sorry I'm late, guys.
Stop the clock. It's okay.
Yes, thank you. Sorry I started a little bit without you. But what we're talking about is the budget. And tonight's meeting deals specifically with the interim report and some of the budget issues. We thought it would be appropriate to talk about that tonight. I was given time by Dr. Kennedy to allow me to present, so that's what I'm going to do, if that's okay.
Go right ahead. Don't waste no more time.
The situation, come on in. What I was talking about is the savings account that the district has. Generally, it's called the ending balance, but for our sake, it's really the savings account that the district has. And you will see that year after year after year, the balance shrinks. And you're going to see that we talked about $800,000 and a $1.1 million reserve. And when Paul shared yesterday, or last week, excuse me, we saw the exact same thing, and here's what it presents right here. The 800,000 and the $1.1 million. So what we're trying to say is that the information that we supplied the board 8 months ago, the information that you received last week from Paul, are the exact same information and the exact same numbers that we have. That both sides can have these information, and it's readily available. And why I wanted to take Paul's information is because that way that takes the bias out of it. He's an unbiased oversight, deals with the oversight of the school districts, and this is what is important. And what I want to share with this slide, if I may, with what Paul did, and I really like it, so I wanted to spend a minute on that, is that what we're going to see is he broke it down a little bit neater than I did. He put two columns. He put a restricted monies and he put the unrestricted monies. And this is what's challenging to us, is that when we look at the unrestricted dollars, which is the blue, I guess you would call it, we start at $5.4 million and steadily decrease. And that is the unrestricted dollars that we can spend any way we want, just about. And that money is significantly going down and down and down until we had $800,000, again, through the county deputy assistant superintendent. What's also startling is that the restricted dollars as well has decreased. And you're going to see from 4.2 to 2.4 to 1.1. And you wonder, well, wait a second, why is it going any lower than 1.1? The reason it can't go any lower, because that's the reserve. That's the $1.1 million, 3% roughly is the reserve that for emergency purposes, that we can't take any more money from that. Okay, generally speaking. So that's what that number is staying constant. And if we continue the trend, we are going to see now we are continuing to lose more and more and more dollars from this district. And we are asking the new board and the cabinet to really think about what's happening with the money in our district. And that's what's important for us. Now, I didn't know he was coming, and I hope this is a pretty picture of you. So, sorry about that. And I hope that I did you okay. And like I said, I had no...
Just go fast.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, you walk the next slide. Here we go. Okay. Let me explain to you what he said during the presentation for the people that weren't there. Is because the district has chosen to employ a strategy of spending down reserves, which isn't a positive or negative comment about that. It just been a choice. It leaves you with fewer options at this point in time. So regardless of what we've done in the past, it's not positive or negative on how we drain down the reserves. Now it's giving us very limited choices. And what I like is this word right here, depleted. That's exactly what we have done to our reserves. We depleted both the unrestricted and the restricted dollars. Now, some of the things, oh, this is hard to see.
Maybe turn one of those lights off at the front and see if that helps.
I think it's the one on the right, is that front one.
Is that a little bit better for you?
Yes.
Okay, what we talked about was some cuts, some things that we could actually do as a group to try to cut down the deficit spending and work together to solve these issues. One of it was suspend all TOSAs, eliminate